I lost 110 pounds, and my own daughters called me a deflating balloon. Look, I need to tell you about something that happened at Christmas, and honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm 62 years old. I've been through a lot in my life. Raised two daughters mostly on my own after my husband passed, worked full-time while being the fun grandma, survived all the usual life stuff. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what it feels like to be bullied by your own children.
So here's the thing.
2 years ago, I was 305 pounds. I'd been heavy my entire adult life. I'm talking since my 20s. I knew I needed to change something, not because I hated myself, but because I could feel my body giving up on me. My knees hurt. I was tired all the time. My doctor kept giving me that look, you know, the one where they're trying to be gentle, but you can see the concern in their eyes. So, I made a decision. I started walking. Then I started watching what I ate: high protein, low carbs, cutting out sugar, keeping my calories reasonable.
And it worked.
Slowly but surely, it worked. Fast forward to last summer, and I'd lost about 70 pounds. I felt amazing. I started playing pickleball with some ladies from the community center, and get this, I was good at it.
Me.
The woman who couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded was suddenly running around a court, laughing, competing. I added pickleball to my routine, and the weight just kept coming off. By Christmas, I'd lost 110 pounds total. 110. I'm the smallest I've been since my 20s, and I still have 40 pounds to go to hit my goal weight. Now, before I get into what happened at Christmas, you need to understand something about my relationship with my daughters. I have two of them. Let's call them A, who's 44, and R, who's 38. A has a daughter, H, who's 22. These are my girls. My whole world, really, especially after my husband died. I thought we were close. I thought we supported each other. I've never been the kind of mother who criticizes their weight or their choices. Never. I've watched them struggle with their own body image stuff over the years, and I've always been the one saying, "You're beautiful exactly as you are." I hadn't seen A and H in person since the summer. They live a few hours away, and with work and everything, we just hadn't connected. We'd FaceTimed, sure, but you can't really see the full picture through a phone screen. So when they walked in on Christmas, I was so excited. I'd been cooking for days. I'd bought presents. I'd made sure the house looked perfect because I wanted this to be special. The moment they saw me, I could see something shift in their faces. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't pride. It was something else. Shock, maybe? Or was it something darker? A looked me up and down, and I swear there was this micro-expression, just a flash of something that looked almost like anger. But then she smiled and hugged me and said I looked so different, and I brushed it off. Here's where things started getting weird. I'd put together a bag of clothes, nice work clothes, business casual stuff that I'd worn on my way down from 305 pounds. I'm just a couple sizes smaller than two of my daughters now, and about the same size as the third. I mentioned it casually at one point. I said, "Hey, I have a bag of clothes in your dad's closet if you want to look through them before I donate them." No pressure. That's it. That's all I said. You should have seen the way they looked at each other. It was this silent communication thing, like they were all in on some joke I wasn't part of. H, my granddaughter, actually laughed and said, "I don't want to wear grandma clothes." And look, fair enough. I wouldn't want to wear her crop tops and leggings either. But it was the way she said it. The way they all snickered afterward. Like I'd suggested something ridiculous. Like I was delusional for thinking my clothes would be good enough for them. Then H said, and this is where I should have seen the red flag. She said, "You look more wrinkly now that you've lost the weight." Just like that. Right to my face. And my daughters? They didn't say a word. They just kind of smiled and looked away. I remember standing there thinking, did that just happen? Did my 22-year-old granddaughter just insult me to my face and nobody's going to say anything? But I let it go. I told myself she's young. She doesn't understand how hurtful that is. Maybe she thought it was a joke. I went back to cooking. I focused on making sure dinner would be perfect. Let me tell you about the dinner because this is where everything fell apart. We did it buffet style: ham, prime rib, green bean casserole, sautéed green beans that I made, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, rolls, the whole spread. I took smaller portions. A little ham, a little prime rib, my green beans, half a baked potato, and one small Hawaiian roll. That's it. I didn't make a production of it. I didn't announce what I was or wasn't eating. I just quietly served myself what fit into my eating plan. A, who I hadn't seen in months, looked at my plate and said in this really snarky tone, "Isn't our food good enough for you anymore? Too much fat." And she had this smile on her face, but it wasn't a nice smile. It was the kind of smile you give someone when you're trying to make them feel small. I said, as calmly as I could, "I have to be careful to keep losing and keep the weight off." I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The comments just kept coming, all through dinner. When we were clearing plates for dessert, R said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Who wants pie? I'm sure you won't want any. You aren't greedy like us." The emphasis on you and greedy was deliberate. I know my daughter. I know when she's taking a shot at me. And here's the thing that really got me. I did have a piece of pie. A sliver of the pumpkin pie that H had made, which happens to be my favorite. I had a tiny piece because I wanted to taste it because my granddaughter made it because it was Christmas. And you know what happened? They watched me eat it like I was performing in a circus. After we finished cleaning up the dishes, A said, and I remember this exactly, she said, "Are you going to go walk off the 200 calories you ate at dinner or hang around us a while?" And then H jumped in. My granddaughter, the girl I used to babysit, the one I helped raise when I was working late, she laughed and said, "I doubt it was 200, more like 60. They were counting my calories. They were mocking me for eating. They were turning my discipline, my hard work, my transformation into something ugly. And they were doing it as a group. All three of them, feeding off each other's energy, getting bolder with every comment. I stood there in my own kitchen, the kitchen where I'd cooked for them, where I'd fed them for years, where I'd never once made them feel bad about what or how much they ate, and I felt like I was back in middle school being picked on by the popular girls. Except these weren't mean girls from school. These were my daughters. My granddaughter. My family. I held it together until everyone left. I smiled. I hugged them goodbye. I told them I loved them. And then I closed the door, walked back to that dining room table, looked at the mess of dishes and leftover food, and I just broke down. I cried harder than I'd cried in years. Maybe harder than I cried when my husband died, because at least that grief made sense. This was something I couldn't understand. Let me back up for a second, because I need you to understand how we got here. I need you to understand what our relationship used to be like before I lost the weight. I had my daughters young. I came when I was 18, or when I was 24. Their dad and I got married right out of high school. Classic story, right? We were in love, we were broke, and we figured it out as we went. He was a good man. Worked hard, came home every night, coached their softball teams. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. And when he died 8 years ago, sudden heart attack, no warning, I thought I might die too. But I didn't. I kept going for my girls. I was already married by then with H, and R was in a serious relationship. They rallied around me. We became closer than ever, or at least I thought we did. We had girls' nights. We texted every day. I was the grandma who showed up for every recital, every birthday, every random Tuesday when someone needed help. And yeah, we were all heavy. That was just our normal. I'd been big my whole adult life, and my daughters had both gained weight after their pregnancies and just never lost it. We never talked about it much. It was just part of who we were as a family. When we got together, we cooked big meals. We enjoyed food. Nobody was counting calories or talking about diets. It was comfortable. But looking back now, and this is the part that keeps me up at night, I'm starting to wonder if that comfort was actually something else. Was it enabling? Was it some kind of unspoken agreement that we were all going to stay the same, stay in this together? Because the moment I changed, everything changed. There were signs before Christmas. Little things I told myself I was reading too much into. Like back in September, I posted a progress photo on Facebook. Just a simple before and after. I was proud. I'd worked so hard. The comments were mostly positive, friends from work, ladies from pickleball, even some distant relatives. But my daughters? I liked it but didn't comment. R didn't acknowledge it at all. When I brought it up on our next phone call, R said, "Oh yeah, I saw that." "You look good, Mom." But her tone was flat, like she was reading from a script. Then in October, I was FaceTiming with H, and I was wearing a new shirt, size large, down from 3X. I felt cute. I felt like myself for the first time in decades. And H said, "Is that new?" I said yes, that I'd been shopping for clothes that actually fit. And she said, "Well, don't get too many. You're still losing weight, right? Might be a waste of money." At the time, I thought she was being practical. Now I wonder if she was hoping I'd give up. The week before Christmas, I'd mentioned to A that I'd joined a new pickleball league, and we had matches twice a week. She said, "Wow, Mom, you're really busy these days. Do you even have time for family anymore?" And I laughed it off, but there was an edge to her voice. Like I was doing something wrong by having a hobby, by having a life. So by the time Christmas came around, there was already this undercurrent of weirdness. But I thought seeing each other in person would fix it. I thought once they saw how happy I was, how healthy I was, they'd be happy for me too. I was wrong. During dinner, before the calorie counting comment started, there was this moment I keep replaying. We were all sitting around the table, and I was talking about pickleball, about this tournament I'd won with my partner, about how much fun it was, about how I'd made all these new friends. And I looked around the table, and nobody was really listening. I was on her phone. R was picking at her food. H was staring into space. The only person who seemed even remotely engaged was R's partner, and even he looked uncomfortable. I trailed off mid-sentence. "Just stop talking."
And you know what?
Nobody noticed. The conversation moved on without me. They started talking about something else. I don't even remember what, and it was like I hadn't said anything at all. That's when I first felt it. This sense that I was becoming invisible to them. Or worse, that I was becoming someone they didn't want to see. After the 200 calories comment, after H's more like 60 jab, I excused myself to the bathroom. I needed a minute to breathe. To remind myself that I'm an adult, that I've survived harder things than mean comments from my family. When I came out, I wasn't planning to eavesdrop. But I heard them talking in the hallway just outside the bathroom door. I was saying something about how I probably think I'm better than everyone now. H said, "She's definitely going to start giving us diet advice soon. Just wait." And my R, who I thought understood me better than anyone, said, "She looks like a deflating balloon. It's honestly kind of sad." And then they laughed. All three of them. My daughters and my granddaughter, standing in my hallway, laughing about me looking like a deflating balloon. I stayed in that bathroom for another 5 minutes. I looked at myself in the mirror, at my face that, yes, has more wrinkles now that the fat isn't filling them out, at my body that I've worked so hard to transform, at my eyes that were starting to fill with tears, and I thought, is this what success looks like? Is this what getting healthy costs? The deflating balloon comment stuck with me for another reason too. It made me wonder, is that how they saw me before? As inflated? As too much? Did they prefer me when I was 305 pounds because it made them feel better about themselves? I've read articles about this. About how people treat you differently when you lose weight. How strangers are nicer to you. How doctors take you more seriously. How the world just opens up in ways it didn't before. And it's all true. When I go to the grocery store now, people smile at me. When I go to the doctor, they actually listen instead of just telling me to lose weight. It's like I became visible to the world for the first time in decades. But I also became a problem for my family. There's this thing that happens when you change, and the people around you don't. They feel threatened. They feel abandoned. They feel like you're making a statement about them just by existing in a different body. And rationally, I understand that. I understand that my weight loss might be bringing up their own insecurities, their own feelings about their bodies and their health. But understanding it doesn't make it hurt less. After everyone left that night, after I'd cried myself out, I sat at that table and I thought about everything I'd sacrificed to get here. The early morning walks when it was still dark out. The times I wanted to eat pizza with my friends but ordered a salad instead. The physical therapy for my knees. The sore muscles. The hunger pangs. The mental discipline it took to keep going when it would have been so much easier to quit.
I did all of that for me, yes.
But also for them. Because I wanted to be around longer. I wanted to be able to play with H's future kids. I wanted to be able to travel and see the world and not worry about fitting in airplane seats or having the energy to walk through museums. I wanted to be the grandma who could keep up, who could live fully, who could show my family that it's never too late to change your life. And somehow, that became a betrayal to them. The next morning, I woke up to a text from A. Thanks for having us, Mom. Sorry if we were a little much yesterday. Holiday stress, you know? No acknowledgement of what they'd actually said. No real apology. Just a vague, sorry if we were a little much, like they'd been too loud or stayed too late. I didn't respond right away. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what I was actually dealing with here. Because here's what I know. I have 40 more pounds to lose before I hit my goal weight. I'm going to keep playing pickleball. I'm going to keep walking and working out and eating the way I eat. I'm not stopping. I can't stop. This isn't just about vanity or fitting into certain clothes. This is about my health, my life, my future. But I also know that I can't keep subjecting myself to this treatment. I can't keep showing up to family gatherings just to be mocked and counted and judged. I can't keep pretending that their comments don't cut right through me. So what do? Do I confront them individually? Pull each one aside and say, "Hey, what you said at Christmas really hurt me"? Do I address it as a group? Send some kind of family group text or arrange a sit-down conversation? Or do I just ignore it and hope it stops? Hope that eventually they'll get used to the new me and things will go back to normal? The problem with ignoring it is that I don't think it will stop. If anything, I think it'll get worse as I lose more weight. I think the closer I get to my goal, the more threatened they'll feel and the meaner they'll become. And addressing it feels terrifying because what if they don't see anything wrong with what they did? What if they tell me I'm being too sensitive, that it was just jokes, that I can't take a little teasing? What if confronting them just makes them angrier, drives them further away? I keep thinking about what are said, about me looking like a deflating balloon. And then I think about what H said in that overheard conversation, that I'll soon not want to be seen with them. And I wonder, is that actually how they felt about me when I was 305 pounds? Did they feel embarrassed to be seen with me? Did they wish I was smaller, thinner, more acceptable to the world? Because if that's true, then what were they actually upset about at Christmas? Were they upset that I lost weight? Or were they upset that I succeeded at something they haven't been able to do? Were they jealous? Insecure? Feeling left behind? Part of me wants to believe that this is just a phase. That once they adjust to the new me, once they see that I'm still the same person inside, still their mom and grandma who loves them unconditionally, things will smooth out. That the cruelty was just a knee-jerk reaction to change, and given time, they'll come around. But another part of me, the part that heard them laughing in the hallway, that watched them take turns mocking me at dinner, that saw the way they looked at each other like they were part of some exclusive club I wasn't invited to anymore, that part of me wonders if I actually raised mean girls. If somewhere along the way, despite my best intentions, I raised daughters who are so insecure in themselves that they need to tear other people down to feel okay. Even if that other person is me, I've never given them unsolicited diet advice. Not once. Not even when I knew they were struggling with their weight, when I could see it affecting their health and their confidence. I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to be that mom, the one who makes her kids feel bad about their bodies. I wanted them to come to their own realizations in their own time, if they ever did at all. And you know what? I still won't give them diet advice. Even after everything they said to me, even after the way they treated me, I still won't throw my success in their faces or suggest they should follow my path. Because that's not who I am. That's not what family does. But what does family do when they're the ones hurting you? What does family do when the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones making you feel worthless? I thought about calling my sister. She lives across the country and we're not super close, but she's family. But then I thought, what am I going to say? My daughters were mean to me at Christmas? It sounds so petty when I put it like that. So childish. Like I'm tattling or looking for someone to take my side in a fight that maybe only exists in my head. Except it's not in my head. It happened. I was there. I heard every word. I saw every look. I felt every cut. The thing that makes this even harder is that I can't talk to my husband about it. He's been gone 8 years, but moments like this, I miss him so much it physically hurts. He would have known what to do. He would have seen what was happening at dinner and shut it down immediately. He wouldn't have let them talk to me like that. And afterward, he would have held me while I cried and told me I was beautiful and strong and that our daughters were just going through something. But he's not here. I'm alone in this. And I have to figure out how to handle it by myself. I've been thinking about what happens if I do confront them, and it goes badly. What if they get defensive and turn it around on me? What if they say I'm the one with the problem, that I'm the one who changed, that I'm the one who's making everything about my weight loss? What if they accuse me of being self-absorbed or seeking attention? Because I can already hear us saying something like, "Mom, we're happy for you, but you talk about your weight and pickleball all the time now. It's like you don't care about anything else." Even though that's not true. Even though I asked them about their lives, their jobs, their relationships. Even though I cooked their favorite foods and bought thoughtful presents and tried so hard to make Christmas special. But that's the thing about being the target of someone's insecurity. They'll twist everything you do into evidence that you're the problem. Your success becomes bragging. Your happiness becomes smugness. Your simple existence in a different body becomes an attack on them. I also can't stop thinking about the daughter-in-law, ours partner's wife, who made that green bean casserole that I didn't take. She seemed irritated that I didn't eat it. I didn't even know she'd made it specifically for me, or that there was some expectation I'd eat it. But apparently there was, because her mentioned it after everyone left, said her sister-in-law had worked hard on that casserole and was hurt I didn't try it. And I thought, okay, but I brought sautéed green beans that I made specifically, so I'd have a vegetable I could eat. Nobody was upset that other people didn't eat my green beans. Nobody counted how many people tried my dish or took it personally when someone passed on it. Why is it different for me? Why is my food choice being monitored and judged in a way nobody else's is? It's because I'm the one who changed. I'm the one who broke the unspoken rule. And now everything I do is being watched through that lens. I've spent the past week since Christmas alternating between anger and sadness. Some days I'm furious. I think about all the years I spent taking care of them, supporting them, never judging them, always being there. And this is how they repay me? By mocking me for finally doing something good for myself? Other days I'm just sad. I grieve the relationship I thought we had. I grieve the daughters I thought I raised. I grieve the version of our family that apparently only existed when I stayed in my place, stayed big, stayed comfortable for them to be around. And some days, the worst days, I wonder if it would have been easier to just stay 305 pounds. To keep eating the way I ate. To keep living in that body that hurt and limited me, but that apparently made my family feel safe and comfortable.
To choose them over me.
But I can't do that. I won't do that. Because as much as I love my daughters and my granddaughter, as much as this hurts, I also love myself. And I worked too damn hard to get here to give it up, because they can't handle their own feelings about my transformation. So I guess what I'm really asking is, how do I move forward from here? How do I maintain a relationship with my family while also protecting myself from their cruelty? How do I set boundaries without destroying what's left of our connection? How do I make them understand that their comments aren't just jokes or teasing, that they're actually hurting me in ways that might not be fixable? Because right now, I honestly don't know if this relationship can be fixed. And that terrifies me more than anything.